Hey, welcome back everybody. We got another deck profile. This one kind of took a while because for some reason the guy I originally bought from didn't want to send out uh, the boss card of the deck, which is very awkward. But I finally have everything in. Uh, it's a little bit before set 11 coming up, but I figured I may as well post it while I have it. Hope you guys had a great holiday. And before I get into it, it's not really related, but I did want to show off something I picked up recently because this is my favorite Pokemon. I got one of these Mega Heracross cards from the recent set. It was like $3 or whatever, so I was like, "Yep, I'm snatching that up." But yeah, let's go on and go into the profile really quick. We got the your basic ride line, which is the starter of Bellanista, which is just a basic star that draws you a card. We've got Adorphus, which is when it's ridden over by the grade 2 in the ride line, you get to Soul Blast 1, draw 2, and then you have to discard a normal unit. Otherwise, you discard 2 cards instead. Um, it's not necessarily great, but it is better than running any other gimmick for a ride line. We've got the grade 2, which is Alginia. Alginia, I think Alginia is actually pretty good. She has the ability when Liael rides over her, you bottom deck up to 3 normal units. Obviously, you can do as many normal units as you want, but if you deck up to 3, you get to draw a card, which is pretty nice. Gets your pieces back in rotation. And we have the Faded One of Sacred Time, Liael Draconis. So this is a the original Liael, but like a more offensive based one, and has better conditions for all of her skills. So the first one is you can Energy Blast 4 during the main phase, discard a card from your hand. This discard isn't a cost, by the way, so if you don't have any to discard, it's all fine. But one of the costs is binding a rear guard from either your field or your drop zone, and she'll get a drive check until end of turn, which is kind of nice. So she always swings with triple drive. Uh, and then her other ability is when she swings, you counterblast one, bind a rear guard, and instead of grabbing the same name one from your deck like Amorta did, this one grabs the same name as something in your bind zone, which is really cool. Uh, it lets you have a little more flexibility with your attacks. And then her divine skill is similar to the original, which was to ride a Liel from drop. But this one is any Liel from drop. So if you're in a desperate situation, you can re-ride a Morta if you have it in your graveyard. But I personally don't recommend that. But in a pinch, you can get the extra Vanguard attack and extra rearguard attack, which is pretty cool. That is it for the ride line. One of the things to note about this deck is we do not have the Nebulates order yet, so this list is not necessarily gonna win you a bunch of tournaments or anything, but this is a very solid base for if you just want to play and enjoy the deck before uh, the promo card comes out, which is in end of February, I want to say. So we're gonna move on to the grade threes. So we have 3 copies of the Persona ride. You know, gotta have those, especially for her ability. And my Regalis piece of choice is the Fire Regalis because it is a free look at top 5 and hopefully hit one of your pieces. Um, that's honestly the biggest part about this deck is hitting your pieces. You kind of uh, like how Blangdemeyer and Odium kind of feel like Exodia decks, where it's like, oh, you hit all the pieces and you win the game. Uh, this one you need to do that, but just to play the game, pretty much. But this deck does do a lot of will do a lot of damage to your opponent's hand on turns you're trying to kill. So that is it for the Persona Ride and Regalis piece. We'll move on to the other grade threes. We'll show off the original, which is Liel Morta. So most of the skills on this card don't matter except for the ability that when your Vanguard is attacked, if it has Faded One, which we have that in the name, you get to discard a card and put 2 cards from your bind zone back to the bottom of your deck, and this counts as a perfect guard. So we're basically playing, well, when we'll get to it, you'll see, but we're playing 8 perfect guards pretty much. Uh, it's really nice because it helps you just recycle the pieces. You always want to make sure you have something in your deck, so it's really important that we have it. You can easily cut it down to 3. I'm just playing 4 for now because the deck has a lot of space in it because the Nebula Knight order isn't here. And the best boy of the deck, we've got Blessed Dragon Gabuelius. So basically, what he does is on play, you Soul Blast 1, look at top card. You're either going to keep it on top or bottom. And if you put it on bottom, it gets 5k power, which is really nice. And then when it attacks, it gets 5k if you're a Faded one. But if it was placed by a Faded one's ability, you can count. It gets 10k instead. You counterblast 1, and it can do 1 drive check. So but it can only do that once a turn. So if you call, like on Divine Skill, you can't call out a second one of these and then go for like a second rearguard drive check. That just doesn't work. But you do get the extra drive check, which is really cool. Turning your 3 drive check turns into 4, or if you Divine Skill, you're turning it to 5. So that is it for the grade 3s. We have 4 copies of Religia, which is the if you have Liael in your field or on your Vanguard circle or your bind zone, and if you have Gabuelius on your field or bind zone, she gets an extra 5k for each. So if you have both, she becomes a 20k attacker, which is really cool. And then her on place is to look at top 7 and grab a either Gabuelius or Liael. So you can fish out Persona Rides, you can fish out Perfect Guards, and the off chance you haven't seen Gabuelius, you can pick up Gabuelius, but like it's not my recommended course to grab Gabuelius, but sometimes you really do got to get him in rotation. Uh, Going on to, I feel like this card's mandatory. I don't know how many people would agree to this. I'm playing 4 copies of Sequence Wizard, so he has the ability to counterblast 1 on play to look at top 5, and you get to call 1, which is pretty cool. So it helps you find out if you're missing, again, any of your pieces, because very piece reliant deck. But his other ability is when your card is bound, you get to, during your turn, you get to give this +5 and soul charge 1. This deck has a heavy amount of soul cost, and it's going to have even more when the new set drops. So I feel like it's very important to have something that can generate you soul. And then this card, I don't know, man. Like if this feels like the best thing we have for like the current moment, which is 4 copies of Idiris. Idiris, if you have something that's the same name as him in the bind, he gets 10k power, so he swings for 20 or 30 on Persona Ride. And when he gets bound, you get to Soul Blast 1, draw a card, give your Vanguard +5. This doesn't come up very often unless you got like extra soul, but this is it's a pretty solid card overall. It's just not the it doesn't have it has the quickest way out of the deck. It's not meant for to be in here for super long, but we are making it work. And on to the grade 1s, we have 4 copies of Almov. Almov's really cool. She has the ability, but it's also kind of restricted, which kind of sucks now that I think about it. But she has the ability when she's placed, if you reveal a Liael from your ride line, or if you have one on your Vanguard, you just get to energy charge 1. This is pretty cool. And if, or at the end of the battle, she attacks, or boosts, I should say. If you have a Liael Vanguard and your opponent's at grade 3, you can put her to soul and give your Vanguard the ability that all your front row rear guards get +5. So it's cute, you get to buff them up a little bit. It's not horrible. It also generates you soul, which is really nice. Um, I could see this card going down uh, in February when we get the promo, just because Uh, we'll probably make room for stuff like Saragon and all that, but for right now, it's a really solid card. And then 2 copies of Gregon. He is just the if your rearguard was placed by your Vanguard with a Divine Skills ability, you get to retire this at the end of battle and countercharge one. Uh, it's nice. The deck does burn through a bit of counterblast. Not really, not again, doesn't have a lot of staying power in this deck, but for right now, we kind of have to make it work, you know. And lastly, I mean, I talked about it earlier, but we'll just talk about it again. I am playing 4 perfect guards. I'm playing Sanctitude right now just because I feel like a lot of decks just triple drive anyways, so I may as well have a free one. But if you feel more comfortable playing more of the regular perfect guard, you can play regular perfect guard. And on to the triggers. This is the part I'm satisfied for now, but ready to change it when the new set comes out. So we have Red OT. I think Red OT is just really good for this deck. Uh, we're playing 4 crits because crits just win games. Your opponent, you gotta take your opponent out as quick as you can. Not a lot to say there. And the other I guess open-ended part, you're playing the 4 heals. You gotta play heals. The last bit, though, I'm playing 3 draw triggers. So here's the thing. This deck is like, I've said it a couple times. This deck's really piece reliant. So I'd rather have a card that helps me get cards to hand more frequently than to play the front that has the shield, uh, just for like more power. The front with Soul, however, is in contention to go in this deck. The issue is it's right now for set 10 standards. I feel like the Soul front is just kind of unnecessary and is not. It doesn't do as much as I would want it to do. Whereas the draws kind of do what I need them to do right now. When set 11 comes out, I'm sure I'm switching over to the Soul fronts for a bit, but I think for right now these are perfectly fine and probably the better way to run it. And that is it for this deck profile. Nothing. That's upside down. Hold up. There we go. That's it for the deck profile. It's nothing crazy. It's a fun deck to play. As I'm hoping it'll get more support in the future besides the set 11 support and the promo card, uh, because I think like this deck just feels like it's missing like a couple things to be like a real strong contender. Uh, but yeah, it's super fun. I like the Gear Chronicle aesthetic, and yeah, I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Peace out.